Welcome everyone to the November 7th Board of Adjustments meeting. We are starting at 5:30. And I think all the applicants are present. So we'll get started. This meeting is going to be recorded, and let's stand for the pledge. April, will you call roll, please?
Absolutely. Chair Eggline,
Here.
Vice Chair Tholt,
Here.
Commissioner Shirtliff,
Here.
Mr. Newhouse,
Here.
Mr. Top,
Here.
Ms. Beckwith.
Here.
We have all members, including our new alternate, present and have quorum.
Okay, do we now approve the minutes for the last meeting? I am going to not vote on this since I was not here.
I did read the meetings and I didn't have any objections to them. So I will make a motion to approve the meeting minute notes from October 3rd, 2023. Second.
All opposed or all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, there are none. This meeting's gonna go great, I could just tell. All right, I'm going to let Tim take over, and Kyle, if you will present the first one.
Thank you, Chair Eggline and board members. Tonight, we have 7 variance applications for your consideration. To begin with, the variance review criteria pursuant to section 11-5-5C of City Code. To approve a requested variance for a new building or a portion thereof, the Board of Adjustment shall consider the following standards and find as follows. The variance will not create a significant risk to the public health, safety, or general welfare. The variance will not significantly reduce or impair the peaceful use of existing property or improvements in the vicinity in the zoning district in which the subject property is located. And strict compliance with the provisions of this title would create unnecessary hardship or practical difficulty. In evaluating the standards in C above, the Board of Adjustment may consider the following factors. Special conditions and circumstances that are unique to the applicant site, including size of property, unusual or extreme topography, or unusual shape of the property. The height, location, or dimensions of existing structures located on the site or in the vicinity. Whether there is a prevalence of nonconformities in the vicinity of the site that are similar to the requested variance. The subsequent imposition of zoning restrictions creating non-conforming lots or parcels and governmental actions beyond the applicant's control. Whether a literal interpretation of the provisions of this title would deprive the property owner of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties similarly situated. The extent to which the hardship or difficulty results from the actions of the applicant, and whether granting the variance will confer an unreasonable special privilege to the subject property. Section 11-5-5F of City Code states the following. The Board of Adjustment may impose conditions to minimize adverse impacts that the variance may have on the public health, safety, or general welfare. Any approval that includes conditions is subject to the terms of the conditions. These may include, but are not limited to, a time period in which the proposed structure shall be completed, or other conditions necessary to mitigate adverse effects. It is the recommendation of the City Attorney's Office that staff does not make a recommendation to approve or deny. Montana state law states the Board of Adjustment has the authority to consider, upon appeal in specific cases, such variance from the terms of the ordinances as will not be contrary to the public interest, where owing to special conditions, a literal enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance will result in unnecessary hardship, and so the spirit of the ordinance shall be observed and substantial justice done. Section 76-2-323 of the Montana Code annotated. When you make a motion to approve or deny a variance, if the Board of Adjustment approves the requested variances, the following conditions are recommended. A building permit must be obtained within 1 year. Okay. You start. Item 1, 807 2nd Street. Consideration of a variance from section 11-4-2 to decrease the minimum setback for a side lot line from 8 feet to 0 feet for a property with a legal description of the west 10 feet of lot 8 and all of lots 9 and 10 in block 563 of the easterly addition to the city of Helena, Lewis and Clark County, Montana, referenced in Book 215 Deeds, page 193, and all of lot 7 in the easterly 32 feet of lot 8 in block 567 of the easterly addition to the city of Helena, Lewis and Clark County, Montana, as shown on the certificate of survey filed under document number 3052910. Reason for this variance is to replace a garage. Here is the vicinity map. The property is generally located on the southeast corner of South Raleigh Street and 2nd Street. It's a corner lot, 2 frontages, 2 side setbacks. History of permitting action. In June of 1972, a permit was required to remodel this barn garage into a studio. Here is the proposed site plan. You can see the heavy dashed line is the location of the current garage with the new garage above it. Current garage encroaches on the neighboring property, crosses the property line by 2 feet, I believe. Here's the certificate of survey showing these 2 blocks. Here is the existing site looking up the driveway at the garage. There's a noticeable elevation gain across the property. To the east of the driveway, the left-hand side of this picture is deed restricted. No construction can be done on that portion of the property. Here's a picture of the existing structure from within the yard. These are similar non-conforming structures that were submitted with the application. There is a map on the next slide showing locations of similar structures throughout. You can see the location of the project noted on this as well. This variance serves the following purposes. To comply with property boundaries, as I stated, the existing garage encroaches into the neighboring property. The new garage will not extend over the property line. To comply with those deed restrictions that limit the area of the site that can be constructed upon. To maintain existing construction, there are existing retaining walls in patios that by building in the same location can be maintained. And to maintain site safety, the application states that the northern portion of the site in front of the house towards 2nd Street becomes icy due to the slope during the winter. As of today, 4 comments in support have been received. You should have those in your packets. Are there any questions for staff?
I apologize. Mrs. Beckwith? Awesome. Welcome. You picked a great day to start with us. You'll get a lot of action tonight for an alternate. So appreciate you coming. Thank you, Kyle. I don't have anything from any of the other board members.
I guess I have one question.
Go ahead, Mr. Tom.
Mr. Holland. I was wondering, is the existing garage being used as a garage, or is it just being used as the studio currently? Just a clarification.
It is not being used as a garage, to my understanding.
Thanks.
It's being used as this studio space, and it's 2 stories occupancy above. Is it? I apologize for my.
Kyle,
Well-
could you restate that for the record because the microphones can't pick up anything?
The applicant states that part of it is being used as a garage currently.
We can save that question for the applicant too. Any other questions for staff?
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Would this decrease the entirety of the setback or just the setback associated with the site of the new garage? Like the entirety of the property line setback or just that for the building permit?
I guess in theory, it does reduce for the entirety of the thing, but as recommended, we condition it that a building permit within 1 year to limit that excessive activity.
Any other questions for staff? I appreciate it, Mr. Holland. Now is the opportunity if the applicant would like to present to the board.
Thank you. My name is Tyler Warren. I live at 807 2nd Street as my primary residence. We purchased that property about 2 years ago and have been living in Helena for about 11 years now. Anyhow, as a condition of us purchasing the property, there were deed restrictions that were put in place on the west side of that lot. One of the provisions and understandings of us purchasing that was the ability to replace the garage, I guess with a variance request. And the people that we purchased from live directly behind us, and this garage encroaches on their property. They are one of the letters of support that you have in your file. Frank and Bonnie, Frank Crowley and Bonnie Addy. They also own the small house in between my house and their new construction. So there is also a height restriction that we didn't talk about in that variance request. So I would not be able to build taller than the current structure. And currently that garage is used as a garage, an office kind of studio area, and then we have a 1-bedroom studio, just 1-bedroom, I guess, Airbnb. We Airbnb it or have family stay. So you have, I guess that's kind of all that I needed to add to what I saw. Is there any other questions from anybody?
Any questions from the board for the applicant? Going once, going twice. We appreciate it very much, Mr. Warren.
And all of the letters, we notified everybody around us, and of course you went through the steps. All of the letters of support are the direct neighbors that would have any impact from this. So
Definitely appreciate it very much. Any public comment on this? Anybody would like to speak on public or online? April?
If you would like to make public comment on this item and you are online, please raise your hand now. We have no hands raised online.
And seeing nobody in present, I would move for board discussion on this item.
Vice Chair Holt, if I may. I think,
Absolutely.
I believe that this is a good fit for the variance criteria. So I will be supporting this application.
Vice Chair Tholt, I also am leaning towards approving this variance request. The only topic of discussion I guess I would have is whether or not it really should be considered a garage. It's kind of more of a secondary residence, which is still allowed by zoning code. And so I don't have any issue with that. It's just kind of interesting that it's I think it's what 1,200 square feet of living space and 600 square feet of garage or something like that, something along those lines. So it's more living space than garage. So seems like it would be more than what would be allowed per an ADU. And then would probably kick it into like a second dwelling, which is still allowed by right. So
Vice Chair, with the good faith of the applicant to try and move the new structure off of the property line, and with the support of the neighbors, I'm fairly inclined to support this variance. Thank you.
Vice Chair, quick question. Am I serving in my capacity as an alternate on this one?
Absolutely, yes. Chairman Eglin is sitting this out, so you are in voting capacity on this.
Thank you for the clarification. I also appreciate the effort the applicant went to talk to their neighbors about this prior to approaching the Board of Adjustment. And I also would lean towards approving it.
Can you bring up the variance for us, Mr. Holland? I would also echo everybody's statements that it seems like great effort is being gone through to talk to the neighbors and the affected parties to make sure it is palatable. Back to your comment also, Mr. Top, I do think we're going to see a lot more secondary dwellings, ADUs, and I do believe it's an intention not only of the city, of the state to allow these more liberally with the housing crisis we have. Not that that's in front of this board at this moment, but I do think that we'll probably see that more. But that is just my personal thoughts on that. So if any other comments? No other comments, then I would ask for a motion.
Vice Chair, I move to approve a variance from section 1142 to decrease the minimum setback for a side lot line from 8 feet to 0 feet from a property with a legal description of the west, 10 feet of lot 8 and all the lots 9 and 10 in block 5, 6, 7 of the easterly addition to the city of Helena, Lewis and Clark County, Montana, referencing the book 215 deeds, page 193, and all of lot 7 in the easterly 32 feet of lot 8 in block 567 of the easterly addition of the city of Helena, Lewis and Clark County, Montana, is shown on the certificate of survey filed under document number 3052910. If approved, the applicant will have a building permit obtained within 1 year.
Second.
Having the second, any further board discussion on this item? Not seeing any. Can we take roll call vote, April?
Absolutely. Vice Chair Tholt,
Aye.
Commissioner Shirtliff,
Aye.
Mr. Newhouse,
Aye.
Mr. Top,
Aye.
Ms. Beckwith,
Aye.
the motion passes.
I appreciate your time very much tonight, Mr. Warren, and good luck with your project. Kyle, variance number 2.
Item number 2 for your consideration, 201 State Street. A variance from section 11-4-2 to decrease the minimum setback for a front lot line from 10 feet to 4 feet for a property with the legal description of lots 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 in block 17 of the original town site to the city of Helena, Lewis and Clark County, Montana. The reason for this variance is to construct a sunroom addition. The property is located generally on the south side of the intersection of State Street and Warren Street to the north of Cutler. History of permitting action, August of 2016, there were permits for demo and rebuild of the entry in the stairs. From 1982 to 2006, there were various permits for re-roofing, interior remodeling, a carport, and plumbing. The earliest permit on file was from September of 1966 to replace a porch. Here is the site plan showing the location of the existing structure relative to the property line and where the new addition will fall. You can see the 4-foot setback there to Warren Street. Here is the plat showing it generally located within the city of Helena. Here is the property looking down the Warren Street edge. You can see there's no sidewalks in this area. The house is located very close to Warren Street currently. Here is a closer view showing some excavation work that's being done on the property in the proximity to the road. Here's the vicinity looking south on Warren Street. To the west, below that, to the east in the upper right-hand corner. And this is above the property looking east in the lower right-hand corner. There are similar setbacks located throughout in the area. As you can see, there's various properties built directly to the sidewalk or very close to the street in cases of no sidewalks. The purpose of this variance will serve to stabilize the foundation. The existing structure has a stone rubble foundation. It was originally an ice house. Current drainage on the structure is directed towards that foundation and is causing undermining issues. This will also increase the usability of the existing structure. There's currently limitations in space in storage. The sunroom will increase the footprint and allow better storage as the ice house structure had a dirt floor. The existing ice house dates to the 1870s. Predating Helena zoning regulations. The residence was added on top after World War II. As of today, no comment has been received. Are there any questions for staff?
I don't have any, Chair.
Kyle, is there a floor plan available?
I did not bring it in. Do you have a specific question about the floor plan or?
Okay. How far is this structure? That's a setback. The house is about 5 feet from Warren Street. Is that?
Yeah, that would be a fair estimation based on, you can
Okay.
see it's very close to the sidewalk here or to the curb.
And the location of that wall is to miss the window? Is that why they're placing it where they are?
No, I believe.
So it's on
it-
the outside of that window?
No, I believe it captures that window to reuse that as a doorway into the space. And the applicant states they're going to move the window.
Right, no questions for, any more questions? Thank you, Kyle. That applicant want to come up and present?
I'm Will Garvin. I guess I should get to the microphone. I'm Will Garvin. I own the property. I can say a lot, and so it's a little dangerous to give me a microphone. But I think I should say a few things. Just why not? I bought the house across the street in 1986, and I needed parking because I actually had a business in there. And so in 1991, I approached the city of Helena to buy the parts of the block on which this house sits, partly for parking, but also I just had this vision. I wanted to work on that block. But that was 1991. So I got a letter in my file to Mr. Verwolf. In 1998, I bought the house that is the subject here. That house to the property line uphill where this structure will be was this close. If not that close, then it was this close. It was so close that the drainage off the roof fell off the property onto the hill and ran back into the house. You can imagine the damage. So even though it wasn't my property, I had a guy come out and landscape it so the water would flow away, whatever. And about 5 years ago, I bought that property. So I'm just saying all these things only so you can know that I've had a vision on doing this for a long time. So now I'll be quiet. I could say more, but I'll be quiet.
Or do you have any questions for the applicant?
Got one for the applicant. Is this going to be owner occupied or is this going to be a rental? What will you be?
It's a rental.
No rental. Okay,
Rental.
thank you.
How much space does this give for the sunroom? Like,
How much space does
Yep.
this add to the building? Is that what you're asking?
no, for the sunroom. So we're looking at the setback. So if you were to abide by the setback, you'd lose 6 feet. So how big is the sunroom that you're proposing? How wide is it? Since we don't have floor plans.
I
I'm
didn't
trying
bring the
to
plans,
understand.
but it's like 8 feet wide and 20 something feet long. So if we were to abide by the 10 feet from the property line, it would cut off 6 feet off of one end. And basically would mean that we would have no door from the house to the sunroom. We're going to have a door outside the sunroom. So in that case, we would have to go outside and go in to the sunroom, which we could do. It's just nice to be able to go straight in from the house. I'm not sure if I'm answering your question.
Nope, that was good. And I also understand that this is supplying additional structure for the rubble foundation that's existing. Is running perpendicular to your foundation? Right,
We're going to build a structure, yes. I'm not sure what you're saying, though. We're going to build some foundation and we're going to reinforce the existing foundation. That's what the graphic said. We have a rubble foundation now that was from the original, Helena's original ice house. It was a rubble foundation built 1870, who knows when.
Can you pull up the plot? I understand what you're saying. It's gonna help support that rubble foundation.
Yeah,
The
and-
more you can,
Yeah, it's regarding supporting the rubble foundation into 2017, we did work on the other side of the building, which cut off on this drawing. But you can see where the building protrudes to the north and east for about a foot. That continues more, because that was the 2016 work. When we did that work, and it was not on our building plans, once we got started and excavated and got into it, we realized that we had to support the old rubble foundation. So that changed the work we did. And what we did, we simply, as we poured the floor, we put vertical steel, formed up, we poured concrete and we oozed it into the rocks. Oh, and we played dentist on that beforehand and got rocks very cleaned out. Oh, excuse me. And we felt great about that. So we know what we're going to have to do on the other side. We're going to have to do the same thing. So we just don't know how far out it's going to go. On the inside of the house, the rubble foundation is vertical. On the outside, it comes off at an angle. It's just rubble. So.
Thank you. Is there any additional questions for the applicant? Okay, I'm going to open it up for a board discussion.
Madam Chair, if I may, given the topography and construction of the existing building, I believe that his variance is within our purview. I will be supporting this one.
Let's ask for public comment, just in case.
See, this is why you should be doing the meetings. April, is there any public comment?
We do have one hand raised online.
Okay, please let them state their comment.
So Janine, would you please state your name and your address before you make your comment, please?
Hi there, my name is Janine Stark, and
Just a minute here.
I live in the residence at 201 State Street.
Thank you, Janine. And would you like to make your comment now? Sorry.
Yes, I just want to say I've been working on this project, and we take out the dirt shovel by shovel, bucket by bucket, and the rocks, and it's been a joy to meet all of our neighbors while working on this project. It's like the whole neighborhood is in on this now and seeing what's going on. And so to add an extra 166 square feet to the top floor of this house is just going to be awesome, to be able to start my garden in there and have a sunroom to rest in or play in. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. That's all I have to say.
There are no other hands raised online.
Anybody in the audience for comment on this project? Okay, I see none. So let's go back to board discussion.
My comment is probably one of the tougher areas of town that we've seen a few times here, and I can appreciate what he's definitely trying to do. I don't think he's changing the character of the neighborhood with this, and I think he's within, the addition would be within that setback because he's 10 feet off of the curb, but really we're approving the existing house, which he can't help in my mind. So with that, I'm inclined to approve this.
I think that the 10 feet is actually from the curb, not the property line, but I think there's still plenty of room there. In the future, if they end up wanting to put in some kind of a sidewalk or something along those lines as well. So I think that stepping it back the extra 4 feet from the property line and 5'6" from the existing corner of the residence, I think that's it matches what's going on the other side of the building. I see that, so makes a lot of sense.
Okay. I agree with Tim's comments. I don't I think this fits within the neighborhood and the improvement on this is what within our guidelines. So I will open it up for a vote. April, do you want to call roll?
Chair Eggline, we need to have a motion first.
Oh my goodness. I'm rusty.
You were gone. You were gone.
Oh my goodness. Would somebody open it up for a motion, please?
I'd make
Oh.
a motion to approve a variance from section 11-4-2 to decrease the minimum setback for a front lot line from 10 feet to 4 feet for a property with a legal description of lots 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 in block 17 of the original town site to the city of Helena, Lewis and Clark County, Montana, with the condition that a building permit must be obtained within 1 year.
Second.
All those in favor?
Uh,
Oh, now we're doing roll?
Yes, now we will take the roll call vote. So Chair Eggline,
Yay.
Vice Chair Tholt,
Aye.
Commissioner Shertliff,
Aye.
Mr. Newhouse,
Aye.
Mr. Top.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right. Item 3, 519 First Street. Wait for you to become a member of the gallery. Consideration of a variance from section 11-4-2 to decrease the minimum setback for a side lot line from 8 feet to 7 feet for a property with a legal description of S31 T10N R03W COS 516083 acres 5.229 tract A2 in Hawkeye Load MS 314. The reason for the variance is to maintain minimum access width for a new gift tract. Here is the existing property. It is south of First Street on the dead end to the east of South Davis Street. History of permitting action. There were various remodel, electrical, plumbing, and roofing permits between 1982 and 2015. In May of 1994, an encroachment agreement for a rock wall into the First Street right-of-way was granted. Here you can see the proposed layout, the portion of the property that is being maintained with the house in the section that is being gifted to the fire department requests a minimum of 20 feet of frontage for access. This maintains that, but to do that, it only allows for 7 feet of setback from the corner of the house to the property line. Here you can see the certificate of survey showing the current tract. Here is the driveway in question that will be the portion that is designated to the new gift tract. You can see the setback to the house to the west is very close to the existing property line already. Here's the surrounding character. It's an older neighborhood, dead-end street. Many of the houses on this street have similar short setbacks as is common in these older neighborhoods. As stated, the purpose of this variance is to create a new gift track while maintaining fire department access. As of today, no comment has been received. Are there any questions for staff?
I have one and I can save it for the applicant because I'm ignorant on this. Do you know what a gift tract is? Because I've never heard that term.
It's a way of dividing the property. it's a family transfer of division of land.
Thank you. I had that same question. It's okay. I wrote it down. Any other questions for Kyle?
I'll thank the vice chair for asking the question that I had. Thank you.
I will note that for the future, and I will define the terms like that.
And just as clarification, I think Mr. Newhouse is recusing himself, so Mrs. Beckwith, we're looking for you.
Thank you, Kyle. The applicant want to present questions?
My name is Mike Newhouse. I'm a professional land surveyor and I'm representing the property owners. So Montana state law allows for single family or single gift to immediate family member, which by law is a spouse or children or parents of the landowner. The goal of this is to create the tract, and they will not be building on it within the next year or two. They have a fairly significant grading to overcome in order to meet city code, which requires adherence to international fire code. They have to be under 10% for fire access. They have to be less than 400 feet from fire hydrant. So part of this, after the tract is created, they will be saving money to extend a fire main up First Street, which will bring a fire hydrant to that dead end. They will have to do significant grading to bring the current 14% grade down to 10%. And they will have to hire an architect to design a house to fit with the current topography and still meet fire department requirements. As part of that, fire department does require 20-foot wide access. The rock wall that is shown on the plot plan will have to come out. They will have to do significant grading along that existing driveway. Their goal at this point in time is to get the tract created so they can continue to plan for those future steps.
Thank you, Mr. Newhouse. Is there any questions for the applicant?
Mr. Newhouse, I have one question, or more of a clarification. There's obviously more space on the east side of the property. I'm assuming that the grades are just crazy looking at the pictures on that side to get in a 20-foot wide access there. So just wanted to clarify that that's the reason why it's in where it's at.
That's a reasonable question. The east side of that property where it fronts on First Street is probably somewhere in the neighborhood of a 30 to 40% grade with significant rock outcrops. Construction on that side of the property would be almost impossible.
Great, thank you.
Chair Egeline, I've got a question for the applicant. Thank you, Mr. Newhouse, for being here tonight.
You bet.
What is I guess just for my edification, what is the benefit for having the tract and then a gift track from somebody to the husband?
It's a legal way to not go through subdivision.
Okay.
So with subdivision, there's a lot more stringent requirements. They would have to do all of this work on the front end rather than on the back end. So this allows them to get the tract created. They're not going to be able to even pull a building permit until they meet all of those international fire code requirements, which, like I said, includes the extension of a fire main, and they're going to have to at some point dedicate that 20-foot wide strip to the public to allow for a public access and egress so that the fire department is not trespassing when they respond to an emergency.
Cool. Thank you.
I have no questions, but thank you for your presentation.
You bet.
Thank you, Mike.
You bet.
Are there any public comments on this one?
If you are online and would like to make a public comment, please raise your hand now. I have no hands raised online.
Right, thank you, April. Anybody in the audience? Okay, seeing none, let's open it for a board discussion.
I'll start. I will say that the 7 foot lot variance that we're looking at does fit the neighborhood. There's multiple occurrences of even less than that. And with the 20 feet, it even makes it better. So I would be in favor of this.
I'd second that. I think with the 20-foot requirement there, that 7 foot is pretty mitigated. So still has the separation from adjacent buildings for safety concerns and all that. So concerns with that.
I'm going to be in favor of this. I think, making the property and the road safer for our first responders and for the family looking to build on this property. I think I'll be in favor of this. Thank you.
Knowing that this would be to help a public easement to allow for the fire department to access it, I am in favor of this as well.
Okay, will somebody put it up for motion, please?
The condition of approval, building permit in this case does not make any sense. In the past, the filing of an amended plat or certificate of survey within 1 year has been put in place instead of the building permit. I don't know if city staff's on board with that, but
City staff is okay with that. I changed the later part of that sentence, but forgot to change where it says building permit there. I did change it to amended plat.
perfect. Thank you.
I'll take a run. I'll make a motion to approve a variance from section 11-4-2 to decrease the minimum setback for the side lot line from 8 feet to 7 feet for a property with the legal description of South 31, Township 10 North, right away 3 West, COS 516083 acres, 5.229 tract A-2 on the Hawkeye Load MS 314. With the condition that an amended plat be filed with the county within 1 year.
Second.
Roll, will you call roll, please?
Absolutely. Chair Eggline,
Yes.
Vice Chair Thulp,
Aye.
Commissioner Shertliff,
Aye.
Mr. Top,
Aye.
Ms. Beckwith.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 4 this evening, 733 East Broadway Street. Consideration of a variance from section 11-4-2 to decrease the minimum setback for a side lot line from 8 feet to 4 feet for a property with legal description of Lot 2 of Block N of the amended map of the Blake Edition of the City of Helena, Lewis and Clark County, Montana. And 2, a variance from section 11-4-2 to decrease the minimum setback for a lot line that abuts a dedicated public right-of-way that provides only a secondary means of access to property and is not intended for general travel from 5 feet to 0 feet for a property with the legal description of Lot 2, Block N, of the amended map of the Blake Edition of the City of Helena, Lewis and Clark County, Montana. The reason for these variances is to replace an existing garage. The applicant contends they have a rebuttable presumption. Here is the location of the property. It's to the southwest of the intersection of East Broadway in Raleigh. History of permitting action, various roofing, plumbing, and remodel permits from 1983 to 2015. September of 1961, there were permits for additions to the house. In August of 1942 and July of 1923, there were permits on file for a garage. Here is a site survey that was provided by the applicant. It shows the existing location of the garage relative to the property lines. This does show the current garage encroaching into the alley right of way. Here is the plat showing its location within the Blake Edition in Greater Helena. Here is the existing garage. As you can see, it has been deteriorated due to time. It is lower than the alleyway, again, causing runoff issues towards the structure. The property does slope down further away from the alley, limiting the amount of space that the garage could be moved away. Here is the front of the house for reference. Here's the general surrounding neighborhood, looking west and east on Broadway and then north and south. Here is the alleyway in question. As you can see, many of the other structures have this similar zero condition, as is typical. Most also have zero side lot line conditions, as you can see in the upper right and lower right pictures, to the extent that in the upper right, the access is actually through the adjacent property into that garage. As stated, this is to replace an existing deteriorating garage and to fix elevation and drainage issues due to the current state of the alley. Again, as of today, no comment has been received. Are there any questions for staff?
Is the new garage the exact same size as the existing?
When I had spoke with the applicants before this, they were working with pre-manufactured garage companies to get one that would be the same size. The current garage is not exactly a standard size, so they're working to find one that would match that. It was what they had stated to me.
Is the access to the garage at the same location? It's off on the side, it's not
Correct.
right from the alley?
Correct.
That stays?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any change in height?
Not that I know of. I will let the applicant speak to that if they intend to do anything of a second story or anything like that. But general, just the finished floor elevation, most likely coming up to mitigate those drainage issues.
Okay. Is there any additional questions?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Kyle, but we're actually moving the garage, because right now the garage encroaches a foot plus the eaves, so let's say 2 feet. So we're actually moving that garage back out of the alleyway about 2 feet.
Yeah, the request is for 0, not to
Yeah.
continue the encroachment.
Mr. Holland, I noticed there's an added note from transportation or public works, it looks like transportation. So
Transportation.
in relation to the eaves,
Mhm.
and so yeah, with what you're saying, just we don't have any building plans to look at, so it's hard to tell if it's going to meet that requirement. But
That will also be
sure.
reviewed when a building permit is applied for.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I may. Can you back up on your slide to right there? So the top left photo, that garage looks like it's much newer and at least has been remodeled. It
Mhm.
also looks like it's further into the alleyway than the existing.
Yes, you can see it in this picture more clearly.
Has a variance been granted? Not that we're hearing that variance now, but in relation to,
I did not find one, but I did not
okay, just
do an
curious.
excessive amount of investigation for that.
Is an encroachment permit into the alleyway something that's been explored by the applicant?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions? Thank you. The applicant like to come up, present?
Scared of standing in front of people. We're like, I'm Brandy. I am the owner with my husband Jeff of this house. When we bought it, we did have the surveys done and the inspector come out, and the surveys, they had to go 5 houses over on either side, cost us a lot because everyone's encroaching on everyone. And so they couldn't actually figure out where our light lines were without going over, I think, almost 5 homes. The guy's home that you saw with the garage, it's actually on our property line, both the garage and the home. So we are 4 feet, you know, there's a gap between the two of 4 feet already. We're just trying to keep it the same. We just want to build a new one. As you can see, the roof sagging right there. A lot of the inside is deteriorated and it's falling apart, and the inspector did not recommend putting anything in there of value if we didn't want it to fall down on it, because it's quite falling apart. I did have a contractor come out and walk, you know, through it to see if it was able to just be updated and put some new siding. And from the inside, I wish I had pictures of that, but from the inside, it looked like they had already tried to do that by putting some 2x6s to hold the walls. But there is a gap underneath that roof that you cannot see. It's about this big, where they put burlap sacking along there. So the weather has just come in and basically eaten away all of the roofing and the exterior, to where he said you'd need to build, you know, take it down to the foundation. And there is a concrete foundation that it's on. If you come from the inside of our gate, right inside that gate, our property line does go down because we are on that hill. So I was nervous that if we had to come in with it, that then we're just pushing all that water that we already have a problem with coming off that roof, you know, right by our home, which we're trying to get the water away from the base of it. We do not want to build it bigger. I think it is 8 by 12, and we want to just keep it on the same plot it has been on. It was built in 1901. And so it's got some, you know, just some structural issues that are not like those 2 doors that you see. It takes a lot to get those open. They're falling off. So I just don't want it to fall into, you know, like the alley or into our property and cause a problem before I could get it torn down and rebuilt, is kind of where we're at.
Any questions for the applicant?
You did great, by the way.
Sorry.
I just want to say that.
And I'm like shaking my heart, like,
I just want to make sure you understand that if we approve a 0 lot line, currently you encroach into, I'm reading this correctly, you encroach into the alleyway roughly 2 feet. So you would be, if we approve a 0 lot line, you would be moving the garage back towards your house about 2 feet.
oh, okay. I was under, maybe I filled it out wrong. We were just trying to build on the same, because it does have a concrete, like, you know, well, the inside is not, the inside is the old wood that's falling apart. It's kind of deteriorated away. So I don't know. Does that mean I need to come back with a new, like I was assuming we were going under the same plot line. I guess when I filled it out, maybe
Yeah, for
mean-
sure. And I get where where it was. And that's why I wanted to bring it up and not.
Is it the eaves that are over, or the?
So your eaves do encroach also, and if I'm reading your survey correctly,
Yeah, it was just, yeah, it's hard. I know. I was
You,
gonna say,
your 16, your garage encroaches onto the alley 16 inches. And then the eave's probably an additional foot, so.
oh, okay. Okay. So we would need to move it 2 feet in toward our property and, okay.
That's what you're currently asking
Ah,
us to look at right
Okay.
now would be to move this garage into
Oh,
your,
I think I just
Yeah.
understood. Okay. I was just wanting to rebuild it on the same plot. it's on. So, okay.
and you do have presumptive rebuttal, but we can't approve you continuing to encroach into the alleyway. There is another, I don't know, you can go for a encroachment permit into the alleyway, but this isn't the spot.
Okay. So somewhere else? Okay.
Thank you, Tim. Is there any more questions for the applicant?
Given that you're wanting to keep the same footprint, do you want to pull your application at this point in time and explore the encroachment permit with the city and then bring it back once that's approved?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yes, because if we approve it here, there'll be stipulations on any building permit going forward. So I
Okay,
think
yeah,
that's.
So, Michael Alvarez, one of our planners, is online and he just emailed me to let me know that you can condition it, that she needs to receive an encroachment agreement from the city. So that's something that you can do and move this forward tonight.
Do we need to have her, would we still be authorizing a 0 lot line setback?
We're not at that point. It's a negative.
Michael, would you be able to address that?
I think for tonight, if you wouldn't mind, I mean, we can also table this, but I think the best way is if we have you pull it, you can always come back to us at any point. We're here every once a month.
Do I
And
have to redo the application fees and all that too?
So if you want to
Yeah.
get with Kyle, and maybe we can set something up for you to talk to some of the planners. We can do that if you'd like.
Madam Chair, do you need a motion to table?
Do I need public comment before we table?
We can take public comment before we table.
Thank you.
If we table, we'll also have another opportunity for public comment when it comes back. So
Okay, so let's go ahead and table and then, or do we need both or is just
We
one
do-
sufficient?
we would need a motion on both of the variances to table both.
Okay, somebody want to make a motion to table it?
I will make a motion that we table a variance from section 11-4-2 to decrease the minimum setback for a side lot line from 8 feet to 4 feet for a property with the legal description of lot 2 of block N of the amended map of the Blake Edition of the city of Helena, Lewis and Clark County, Montana.
I will second it.
So Chair Eggline,
A,
Vice Chair Tholt,
Aye.
Commissioner Shertliff,
Aye.
Mr. Newhouse,
Aye.
Mr. Top.
Aye.
Motion carries. The first variance is tabled.
Madam Chair. Oh, you didn't call for a motion, sorry. Madam Chair, I move to table a variance from section 11-4-2 to decrease the minimum setback for a lot line that abuts a dedicated public right of way of the way that provides only a secondary means of access to property and is not intended for general travel from 5 feet to 0 feet for a property with the legal description of lot 2 of block N of the amended map of the Blake edition of the city of Helena, Lewis and Clark County, Montana.
I'll second the motion.
Chair Eggline,
Aye.
Vice Chair Tholt,
Aye.
Commissioner Shertliff.
Aye.
Mr. Newhouse,
Aye.
Mr. Top.
Aye.
The motion carries and the variance is tabled.
One second, please, board. I would like to speak with those applicants for a moment.
For public record on item number 5, I will let it known I am married to the principal of the applicant. I am not receiving any monetary value from this, so I will vote and make comment.
Understood. Right. Thank you, Chair Eggline and board members. Item 5, 2517 Airport Road. Consideration of a variance from section 11-4-2 to increase the maximum building height from 60 feet to 67 feet for a property with a legal description of section 28, Township 10 North, Range 03 West, Certificate of Survey 291462, tract in the northwest quarter of the northwest quarter, and a variance from section 11-22-3 to reduce the required number of parking spaces from 70 to 58 for a property with the legal description of section 28, Township 10 North, Range 03 West, COS 291462, tract in the northwest quarter of the northwest quarter. The reason for this variance is to construct an addition to the state of Montana liquor warehouse. Here is the property in question. It is to the south of Airport Road, directly across from the southeast corner of the airport, southwest corner of the airport. History of permitting action. There were various permits for roofing, remodel, and electrical from 1990 to 2017. There were permits for new racking in 2012 and 2014. Permit for warehouse addition in 2010. Permit for a loading dock in 2001. And the initial building permit was November of 1976. Here is the site plan showing the proposed warehouse expansion and the location of any new parking being added. Parking is limited on this site due to topography constraints along the north side of the property and emergency access along the east and south areas. In the area in the southeast, is not able to be used for parking because of the truck ingress and egress for deliveries. Using the northeast corner would also require a variance for deviation from City of Helena landscaping requirements. Here is the elevations of the buildings. In the image kind of in the middle, labeled north elevation, you can see the height of the existing building and how much taller the new structure will be that is being constructed. This is showing the automated inventory system that is being installed. It exists in preset tiers. To lower the building to comply with the 60-foot height would remove about 14% of the storage capacity based on the applicant's response. Here is the amended plat showing the location. Here is the frontage of the building along Airport Road. Here is the proposed area of the location along the south side of the structure. This is the general area. This is a commercial area adjacent to the airport. Buildings are a mixture of CLM and B2 in this area. There are height restrictions dictated by the FAA. They have been contacted both by the applicant and myself. I do not have their further review, but they have been contacted stating that this project would require or be recommended for FAA review based on its height and location. Purpose of these variances. This is the state of Montana liquor warehouse. All liquor sold within the state passes through this building. The current size of it is inadequate for staff and storage based on needs throughout the state. Again, this is to maximize the modular nature of the automated storage. To meet the height requirements would remove 688 pallets, or as I said, 14% of the total based on the applicant's statement. And then the reduction in parking spaces is to allow expansion of a structure on a developed lot. The areas around the building need to be maintained for emergency access and for delivery trucks. And then there's topography issues. Street parking cannot be used along airport or on the road to the west. That is a private, privately owned road. Again, as of today, no comment has been received. Are there any questions for staff?
Mr. Holland, I was just wondering about the parking situation. Currently, it looks like the applicant is proposing to change the layout of the parking from angled to 90-degree. And I'm just, there's not a lot of information in the application about the parking situation as much about the height situation. So does it currently meet code? Is it non-compliant in its current state, or is this basically creating a non-compliance because of the addition?
It's creating a non-compliance because of the addition. The change in the direction of the parking, the applicant has worked to maximize the parking as best they can within the constraints. And 58 was the amount they came up with. They did make an effort to work through parking conditions and just were not able to hit the maximum with the size of this addition.
Thank you.
It's the occupant load of the building.
I do not know that. I will
Okay.
leave that for
Well,
the applicant.
Applicant, okay. Any further questions for Kyle? With I have one more.
Mhm.
With that they need to get it approved by the airport, is that a condition that we put on there, or is that something
That-
how does that work?
That would be part of the building process, building approval.
Okay, so that's not,
It does not need to be a condition. It's
Condition
something
on
that's
that.
being evaluated as part of the zoning with regards to the building permit that was applied for.
okay. Okay, thank you. Applicant want to come up, please?
Jason Eggline from CWG Architects. I'll just kind of keep this straightforward and run through here. Like we said, height limitations and parking. I don't think this really creates any risk to public health. Height variation, it's a 60-foot tall building. We're adding 7 feet more beyond it. It's not a lot visually, but it is a huge amount to the owner as far as volume of storage. 688 pallets of product is pretty significant. Does not really impair or change the peaceful use of the existing property or the neighbors. There's actually neighboring zoning to 75 feet. So there is adjacent zoning well beyond our building height. As far as monetary hardships, anything outside of that, does it create any hardships or difficulty? I don't believe so. 60-foot tall building is going to shade the neighbor a little bit. 67 is not going to shade it that much more. The shading on the neighboring property would be to a grass area, piece of parking. I think it's Lairkines is on the south side and their building is on the southern end of their lot. So an additional 7 feet, I don't believe will have any kind of hardship or impact on them. One thing to keep in mind, I wasn't quite sure where that 2010 addition came from, but since 1976, this building has had no significant additions that would improve the functionality of that property. It is also the only piece of land that the state has for this function. We were not optioned an addition site, so we had to work with what we were given. So we're trying to maximize that to the greatest extent possible. If you picture how much more liquor is sold in the state, since 1976, we are woefully inadequate to the storage needs that are occurring within the Department of Revenue's demands. If we don't go the vertical, like I said, it's 688 some pallets. It's about 40,000 bottles, so 7 feet beyond the top is not a lot of an ask, I feel, and yet it is a huge benefit to the owner. Due to site constraints and inability to utilize another site, we were tasked to maximize the property to its greatest extent possible. I believe for longevity of community, that is a smart approach to any construction. So I would hope that that would be taken into consideration here as well. When we look at commercial light manufacturing, flexibility in the building envelope really is essential for us. We are really trying to make the most out of this site with what we've been given. Also, within the realm of what we were doing since 1976, they could easily ask for doubling the building. We simply don't have that much room. This new addition is 31,000 square feet in footprint. So we have to go vertical to try and do our best as architects to meet what the owners asked us to do. Like I mentioned, B2 zoning neighboring 75 feet. I really don't think if we were to look back at this approval 20 or 30 years down the road as things get developed, that you will really notice an additional 7 feet. Honestly, I think the people that will think about it will be the people in this room. I don't think anybody else will really notice it. The switching over to the parking side of things, this new addition, keep in mind, from a traditional code evaluation, you calculate parking with building area. This new addition is solely to house automated storage and retrieval system. So the owner does not need or is not planning to add additional people to do this addition. It's all robotic stuff. There's no new people being added. Another item to please consider when it comes into the parking side of things, there's currently about 35 employees and we currently have 54 parking spots. There's actually more parking there than's needed. So I'm questioning or asking you guys to consider, why would we add more impervious petroleum-based construction that's not currently needed or planned to be needed within the limitations of this site? We're not going to add more additions to this site. We're not going to increase parking need. There are a couple of meetings, 1 to 2 meetings a year that have additional state staff. Even when there are those occurrences, there is still no discussion or has there ever been a request for additional parking. So even when you bring people from different cities to have meetings in their conference room here, they are still not reaching the capacity of this parking lot in any way, shape, or form. As far as the airport discussion goes, we are underneath the height of FAA regulations for this location adjacent to the airport. Don't quote me on this. I think it's around 80 feet or 100 feet. We're underneath the FAA height regulations, so I do not anticipate there being any concern. We are going through that process with FAA to submit the form to dot the I's and cross the T's. That kind of covers everything I have.
Any questions for the applicant?
Mr. Eggline, thanks for addressing the parking further and giving us that information. That's super helpful. And yeah, thank you.
Welcome.
Chair Eglin, for the applicant, thank you very much for bringing this to us. It's kind of a cool project. The height of the existing building is what now? Is it 30 some feet?
Standard high pile storage buildings are about 32 feet.
Okay.
So it's 67 to the new one.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you really making buildings taller than that. High pile storage doesn't work. The only reason to go higher is when you're utilizing an ASRS racking system.
Follow-up comment. I'm going to save this for our discussion. Thank you very much.
Mr. Eggline, one more question. Did you guys explore rezoning to B2 zoning district?
We didn't actually, just looking at the time constraints to do that. I think we would have had we were looking at a 75 or 80 foot, a much taller building with an extra 7 feet. We didn't see that as a need.
Great, thank you.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
April, is there any public comment on this?
If you wish to make public comment on this item, please raise your hand now if you're online. We have no hands raised.
Okay. Anybody in the audience? Seeing none. I'm going to open this for board discussion.
Chair Eggline, what I was wanting to say is that I think adding this additional space allows for more product to be stored, reviewed, and out to the market. And I think with supply chains the way they are right now being difficult for business owners, I think adding this capacity will help speed this up. speed up approval for our small businesses. So I believe I'll be in favor of this.
Chair Eglin, I am also leaning towards being in favor of this. I think my main concern was the reduction in the parking with the automated system, and the efficiencies gained. That is not a concern for me. The height limit seems like it's similar to what is in the area, looking at the zone districts, neighboring zone districts. So in favor of that as well.
Chair, I was also primarily concerned with the parking, but knowing that they only currently use 35 spaces really helps answer that question. So I'm also in favor of this.
I'll just echo the other three board members. I'm in favor and see no issues with this.
Could you put it up for a motion, please? Somebody motion. Is there additional? I don't think so. We ask for,
You bet.
You don't need to ask for additional public comment at this time.
can't mess me up like that. I was on a roll.
Madam Chair. I move to approve a variance from section 11-4-2 to increase the maximum building height from 60 to 67 feet for a property with the legal description of section 28, township 10 north, RW3W, RO3W, certificate of survey 291462. These TRIN Northwest 4 Northwest 4. I apologize. The acronyms are throwing me off. Thank you.
I will second.
Did you want to add a condition to that?
With
Commissioner Shertliff?
Yes, thank you very much, April. I appreciate that. With the condition that a building permit must be obtained within 1 year.
I will second.
Chair Eggline,
Aye.
Commissioner Shertliff,
Aye.
Mr. Newhouse,
Aye.
Mr. Top,
Aye.
Ms. Beckwith.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Chair Eglin, I'd like to make a motion for approval of a variance from section 11-22-3 to reduce the required number of parking spaces from 70 to 58 per property with a legal description of section 28, township 10 north, range 3 west, certificate of survey 291462, tracked in the northwest quarter of the northwest quarter.
I'll second.
With the building permit requirement within 1 year.
I'd second the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Top. Chair Eggline,
Aye.
Commissioner Shertliff,
Aye.
Mr. Newhouse,
Aye.
Mr. Top,
Aye.
Ms. Beckwith.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. Item.
Can I
C-
call for a 10, like 5-minute recess?
We can
Absolutely.
take a break. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not gonna be too much right in that, but.
All right. Thank you for the quick break. We will proceed. We have the applicant still.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Kyle.
Item 6, Shodair Hospital Campus, 2755 Colonial Drive, 2775 Colonial Drive, and 2620 Shodair Drive. Consideration of a variance from section 11-23-10 to allow a second freestanding sign for the principal building at 2775 Colonial Drive in a B2 zoning district for a property with the legal description of lot 3D 1A1 of the Helena Mall subdivision located in section 33, township 10 north, range 3 west, PMM, Lewis and Clark County, Montana, as shown on the amended plat filed under document number 3247572. And a variance from section 11-23-2 to allow a monument sign taller than 6 feet at 2775 Colonial Drive in a B2 zoning district for a property with the legal description of lot 3D 1A1 of the Helena Mall subdivision located in section 33, township 10 north, range 3 west, EMM, Lewis and Clark County, Montana, as shown on the amended plat filed under document number 3247572. A variance from section 11-23-10 to allow a second freestanding sign for a principal building at 2620 Shodair Drive in a B2 zoning district for a property with the legal description of lot 3D 1A1 of the Helena Mall subdivision located in section 33, township 10 north, range 3 west, EMM, Lewis and Clark County, Montana, as shown on the amended plat filed under document number 3247572. A variance from section 11-23-2 to allow a monument sign taller than 6 feet at 2620 Shodair Drive in a B2 zoning district for a property with the legal description of lot 3D 1A1 of the Helena Mall subdivision located in section 33, township 10 north, range 3 west, PMM, Lewis and Clark County, Montana, as shown on amended plat filed under document number 3247572. And lastly, a variance from section 11-23-10 to allow a second freestanding sign for the principal building at 2755 Colonial Drive in a B2 zoning district for a property with the legal description of lot 3D 1A1 in the Helena Mall subdivision located in section 33, township 10 north, range 3 west, PMM, Lewis and Clark County, Montana, as shown on the amended plat filed under document number 3247572. The reason for these variances is to provide wayfinding throughout the Shodair Hospital campus. Here is the Shodair site plan. It is bounded on the north by Colonial Drive, on the east and south by Shodair Drive, and for the most part on the west by Winnie Avenue. History of permitting action. May of 2021, permits were filed, or permits began for a new hospital at 2755 Colonial. December of 2022, permits began for remodeling an existing health facility to offices at 2775 Colonial. In April of 2022, permits began for a new office building at 2620 Colonial. And in September of 2023, sign permits were filed. Here is a plan showing the location of the signs that are requested. The sign labeled D that is in orange is the second sign in the overheight sign for 2775 Colonial. The sign labeled M is the second sign for 2755 Colonial. And the sign labeled D that is in green is the second sign in the overheight sign for the building located at 2620 Colonial. Or sorry, 2620 Shodare Drive. These are the signs as submitted by the general contractor. You can see on the left is the sign M for the 2755 building. And on the right is the sign D that will be used at both the 2620 Shodare and 2775 Colonial buildings. It is a 12-foot tall sign. Here is the amended plat showing the property. This is the location of the second sign for 2775. A foundation permit was applied for when they applied for the rest of the signs, with the understanding that this variance may or may not be approved, and they will have to modify their design if it is not. This is the location of the second sign at 2620 Shodare. In this, in the middle of that parking circle or entry circle, shows the location of the second sign for 2755 Colonial. As you can see to the south, it is primarily residential. As you can see in the two pictures at the bottom, above is the commercial development along Colonial Drive. It is sparsely developed to the north side of Colonial because of the frontage to the highway. This shows the scale of the Shodare campus. The picture in the upper left is standing at approximately where that sign is located for the second sign for 2775. As you can see, you cannot see the other entry signs that are located along Colonial there that are further down at the west entrance of the property. The picture in the upper right is the sign from the 2620 Shodare location. Because of just the size of the property and the topography, those signs or the rest of the signs throughout the campus are not visible from that building. So direction is limited. The picture on the lower left is also located approximately at the 2620 Shodare sign. As you can see, this campus goes all the way down to the end of that road. It's a sizable distance to be covered by just one sign, perhaps. And then again, this is showing the other way at that sign, looking that sign is even kind of centrally located within the campus, and it's still a considerable distance to both ends. This variance, as stated, serves the following purposes: to provide adequate signage for the campus. They have multiple frontages in multiple buildings. And they contend to improve safety, as with most hospital campuses, that the more information you can give to someone arriving to the site, the faster they can find where they're heading. Most of these signs are along Shodare Drive, which will only typically be used by individuals going to or leaving the campus. And all compliance with site triangle requirements will be followed as stated in the application. For any overheight issues that may be caused by that, they will be addressed within the site triangle requirements. Again, as of today, no comment has been received. Are there any questions for staff?
Chair Egeline, got a question. Thank you, Mr. Holland. The designs of these signs are, I think they're great. There was one at sign location that's going to be next to a light, overhead light, but also next to a stop sign. Is there a concern about not being able to see around the sign for people trying to leave Shodare Drive and getting onto Colonial?
No, this sign, this one here. Oh, this one. As stated, they will have to meet all site triangle requirements as within our transportation standards. So any issues of visibility should be alleviated by that concern.
Thank you. That answers my question. Thank you.
Is 12 feet at the top of that pole? Do you know what the top of the pole is?
I am not sure. This was framing that they had installed for that 12-foot sign. Like I said, with the understanding that if this was not approved, they would have to cut it down. It's not the applicant may be able to speak to this better. I do not believe it's quite at 12 feet.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Applicant want to speak?
Good evening. I'm Josh Malani with Dick Anderson Construction, general contractor for project. Also responsible for the variance application. To help provide some insight on the additional signage, Kyle did a good job of explaining the fact that it is a sizable campus, multiple access points. And so something to understand further is that Shodare Drive, if you look at the map, if you can bring that up. So Shodare Drive is shown to kind of loop around the campus, but Shodare Drive is closed by gates by the rope course. It would be the gray access drive next to note number 1 there in the kind of light beige coloring there. It's closed there, and it's also closed at the generator building, which is adjacent to the main building number 2. There's a little brown box there. I think you might be able to read it, but it says generator building on there. So you cannot drive all the way around campus on Shodare Drive. What that does for us is it creates kind of a bottleneck. If there are clients that access Shodare Drive on the east side where the yellow the red and blue arrows are at off of Colonial, that's our ambulance entrance and admissions entrance. And as they come down that road, they hit that first sign D, which is designed to bring the clients into the main parking lot and kind of get them out of that admissions and ambulance entrance and increase safety to that entrance and accessibility. Because you see right next to that M sign, there's kind of a red loop. That's the access loop for the ambulance entrance. And it, from an emergency services standpoint, could get bottlenecked very easily if we have confused clients coming into that area. So D is designed to bring them out of there and alleviate that bottleneck and that dead end turnaround, which we've already experienced during construction. M is designed to identify the ambulance entrance so that there are emergency personnel that bring clients in from other cities that aren't familiar with the campus, so you can understand that. As far as the D sign that's up by the medical office building, the number 3 or the D in green, that sign is basically designed to bring people into the medical office building parking lot and also forward clients to building number 1. It's the brown building that kind of looks like a horseshoe there. That's our Jack Casey home, and it has 3 tenants in that building that have various different clients. So if clients choose to access the site from Saddle Drive, they'll be forwarded by the D sign into that building, so that it doesn't congest Shodair Drive West, which has, as you can see in the picture, some residential traffic on it, residential parking and so forth. Something we've also done on site to address your concern about the vision triangle is repaint all the curbs and increase that distance off of the entrances to get residential parking away from those sight lines and increase that vision triangle even beyond what the code requirement is, because it is challenging to, especially on Colonial Drive, to exit Shodair Drive or the main parking lot access road with the speed of people driving down that road. So we've blocked off a lot of parking there that isn't necessarily required, and we are meeting the vision triangles required by the city.
Sarah, questions for the applicant? Thank you. That's a good presentation. April, do I have any public comment?
If you wish to comment on this item, please raise your hand now. There are no hands raised and there's no one in the room.
Thank you, April. I'll open it for board discussion.
Chair Eglin, I see no issue with any one of these variances, given the size of the campus and the challenges of not having direct access throughout the campus. I'm in favor of approving these.
Chair Eglin, I do not have any concerns with the package. I think it's necessary for safety and for navigation through the campus.
Chair Eglin, I see no issues with any of these signs. I think it's going to be not only common sense, but it's going to be absolutely convenient for navigation around campus. I'm going to be in favor of these. Thank you.
Chair, I appreciate the commentary around the site triangles, and I'm also in favor of these.
Will you put it up for a motion, please?
I'd like to make a motion to approve a variance from section 11-23-10 to allow a second freestanding sign for the principal building at 2775 Colonial Drive in a B2 zoning district for a property with a legal description of lot 3D-1A-1 of the Helena Mall subdivision located in section 33, township 10 north, range 3 west, PMM, Lewis and Clark County, Montana, as shown on the amended plat filed under document number 3247572, with the stipulation that they obtain a sign permit within 1 year.
I second.
Chair Eglin,
Aye.
Commissioner Shirtliff,
Aye.
Mr. Newhouse,
Aye.
Mr. Top,
Aye.
Ms. Beckwith.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Madam Chair, I move to approve a variance from section 11-23-2 to allow a monument sign taller than 6 feet at 2775 Colonial Drive in a B2 zoning district for a property within the legal description of lot 3D1A1 of the Helena Mall subdivision located in section 33, township 10 north, range 3 west, PMM, Lewis and Clark County, Montana, as shown on the amended plat filed under document 3247572, with the condition that a sign permit be obtained within 1 year.
I would second the motion.
Chair Eggline,
Aye.
Commissioner Shertliff,
Aye.
Mr. Newhouse,
Aye.
Mr. Top,
Aye.
Ms. Beckwith,
Aye.
motion carries.
Chair Eggline, I'd like to make a motion to approve a variance from section 11-23-10 to allow a second freestanding sign for the principal building at 2620 Shodare Drive in a B2 zoning district for a property with a legal description of lot 3D-1A-1 of the Helena Mall subdivision located in section 33, township 10 north, range 3 west, PMM, Lewis and Clark County, Montana, as shown on the amended plat filed under document number 3247572.
I'll second the motion.
Chair Eggline,
Aye.
Commissioner Shertliff,
Aye.
Mr. Newhouse,
Aye.
Ms. Beckwith,
Aye.
motion carries.
April, you skipped.
Mr. Top, sorry,
Aye.
motion carries.
Chair Eglin, I'd like to make a motion to approve a variance from section 11-23-2 to allow a monument sign taller than 6 feet at 2620 Shodare Drive in a B-2 zoning district for a property with a legal description of lot 3D-1A-1 of the Helena Mall subdivision located in section 33, township 10 north, range 3 west, PMM, Lewis and Clark County, Montana, as shown on the amended plat filed under document number 3247572, with the additional condition that they obtain a sign permit within 1 year.
Second.
Okay, Chair Eggline,
Aye.
Commissioner Shertliff,
Aye.
Mr. Newhouse,
Aye.
Mr. Top,
Aye.
Ms. Beckwith,
Aye.
motion carries.
Chair Eggline, I would like to make a motion to approve a variance from section 11-23-10 to allow a second freestanding sign for the principal building at 2755 Colonial Drive in the B2 zoning district for a property with the legal description of lot 3D-1A-1 of the Helena Mall subdivision located in section 33, township 10 north, range 3 west, PMM, Lewis and Clark County, Montana, as shown on the amended plat filed under document number 3247572, with the condition that the applicant apply for a sign permit within 1 year.
Second.
Chair Eggline,
Aye.
Commissioner Shertliff,
Aye.
Mr. Newhouse,
Aye.
Mr. Top,
Aye.
Ms. Beckwith,
Aye.
motion carries.
Okay. And lastly, tonight, we have 3196 Colonial Drive. A variance from section 11-24-4 to allow a deviation from parking lot landscaping requirements for a property with the legal description of lots 2 and 3 of block 1 on COS number 3100615 of the Nob Hill subdivision, City of Helena, Lewis and Clark County, Montana. The reason for this variance is to remove trees along the front of the building from the submitted plans. Here is the property. It is the Maverick gas station that is being constructed to the north of the roundabout at Colonial Drive and Saddle Drive. History of permitting action. April of 2023, a permit was issued for new construction. In February and June of 2023, variance for signs was partially approved by this board. Here is the proposed site plan. Circled is the area of the building where they would like to remove the trees from. And on the next slide is showing the 2 trees that are in the approved site plan that they would like to remove. Here is the plat showing the property. Here is the existing site showing the status of construction. Here is looking at the front of the building where the trees would or would not be located. Here is from within the building looking towards the canopies through where the trees would be. Surrounding area buildings, these are similar to what you have seen for the previous variance application. Colonial Drive and Saddle Drive is the exit off the interstate. It is a commercial area with a retirement center towards the south. A new dentist office is going into the south. There's various businesses directly across Colonial and houses further to the west. Similar conditions in the area. Here are 4 locations I found in a little walk around the block there. 3060 Cabernet Drive, 3051 Cabernet Drive, 3116 Saddle Drive, 3067 Cabernet Drive all have similar conditions where it's parking, sidewalk, and then building, no landscaping between the front parking in the entry. A couple more properties were mentioned by the applicant in their narrative, but you can see there is a existence of nonconformities to the landscaping standard. The purpose of these variances, the applicant contends that this will improve visibility on the site, that the location of the trees will block visibility from the store to the fuel canopy, causing safety concerns potentially, or just general operational concerns. And they contend it's to remove hazards, that removal of the trees and the associated tree grates will create a more consistent walking surface around the building. As of today, 1 comment against the proposed variance has been received, and that should be in your packet. Any questions for staff?
Is there any chance that you have a more blown up picture of the site showing which trees are staying and which ones are getting removed, just so I could see it better?
This is the current landscaping plan as approved. The 2 trees to be removed are with mouse, this tree here and this tree here.
Okay, what is item number 4 that I see around the perimeter there?
Item number 4.
They look like giant flowers.
They are labeled up here. 6-inch wide concrete mill curb around trees and turf grass sod. Is what is labeled there. TH, there's the, if you know your plants better than me, that is the proposed plant that goes with the number 4, the TH.
Those we have, so if you go back, so we have trees around the perimeter.
Correct.
Okay.
Trees around the perimeter, trees in the islands here and here, a tree along the south side of the building, a tree along the north side of the building, trees and shrubs in this island. And like I said, they're just trying to remove these 2 which would affect these parking spaces here in the middle along the front of the building.
And the city code, a tree has to be within 35 feet of a corner.
35 feet of any edge corner, any portion of a
edge
parking
corner.
space.
Okay. Is there additional questions?
Mr. Holland, you were showing some images of adjacent sites that it don't appear to meet this requirement. Is it from a staff perspective, is that an issue of an enforcement issue of the regulation, an issue of a different regulation potentially as far as timing goes, or is this an issue of I don't know if there's been other variances granted for this requirement. So just your staff opinion of why that is.
I was not involved with any of these, so I
Okay.
cannot speak to that. I do not know of variances for these properties. So I don't know if that answers your question well enough or not, but these predate my time with the city, and I do not know the absolute logic for the lack of trees.
Chair Eglin, if I may. Mr. Holland, do you know when the landscape requirements were put into place by the city?
I believe it's 2013.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? Right. Thank you, Kyle. Does the applicant want to come forward and present?
Commissioners, thanks for taking your time this evening to work with us and all the public and your efforts here. I also thank Kyle for all his efforts on this particular variance we're requesting. Just want to stress the reasons for our request for these 2 trees to be removed. One of the things that we as a convenience store have issues with is trip and falls. And these things are one of the higher potentials that we have with our operations of our store. So removing the tree grates and the trees in front of the store would be very helpful for us to avoid those litigious incidents. And also with the 1 tree and possibly the 2nd tree, we have our adventure guides that have to watch the canopy, watch the fueling stations to make sure things are operating smoothly. As soon as that tree grows up, it would be blocking one of the views from the windows. So that's another reasons why operationally, we'd like that tree to be removed. So that's why we're asking for the 2 trees removed. If you have any questions, I'm here.
Any questions for the applicant?
Will you have video systems where you can monitor those canopies from the interior of the store?
We do. It's just a belt and suspenders. You can have the view from the window itself, and then you also have the monitors in back.
Thanks.
I have a question. I was just wondering I noticed there are a couple of trees with the tree grates in other locations with sidewalks as well. So just wanted to hear your perspective as far as why you're removing those 2 trees and or asking to remove those 2 trees and not the other ones.
We'd love to remove all 4 trees, but these are the ones that are imperative to us. And we thought it would be if we're going to go for a variance for this, we would at least go for the 2 trees that we really would like to be removed. So again, we'd love to remove all 4 trees, but these are the 2 that are most important to us.
Would you have any heartburn on relocating these 2 trees to somewhere else on the site that maybe is more advantageous to you?
Not at all. I would only say that if I could work with my landscape architect, I don't think I'd put that type of tree out along the perimeter. I'd probably go with something more of an evergreen, but I could have a little leeway with tree and work with Kyle. But yes, we'd easily relocate those trees.
Any further questions? Okay, I don't
Yeah,
have any
thanks.
questions. Thank you. April, other than the public comment that was in our packet, is
Mhm.
there any additional people online for public
So
comment?
we still have two people online. One is
Okay.
Michael Alvarez, city staff. The other is Melanie Ruff, who is with the applicant.
Okay,
So there's no one else online. But if anyone would want to make public comment, or if Melanie has anything to add, go ahead and raise your hand and I'll allow you to talk. No hands are raised and there's no one in the room.
thank you, April. All right, I will open it for board discussion.
I will open it and I will say this is, since I've been building in Ellen, it's been a long standing that the 35, and there's some good reasons for it. It is an arbitrary number, but the reasons behind it, the heat islands and some other things, I think there's some good thought behind the reason that it's implemented. But I think I would be open to relocation of these trees somewhere else on the property. So that's where I kind of sit.
Chair Eglin, I'd like to echo Tim's comment. As long as they move the trees somewhere else, whether it's another type of tree or not, I would be okay granting this variance.
Chair Egeline, I'm in agreement with the vice chair on the movement of the trees and with the comments regarding a heat island and, or, I think if the applicant or applicants are amenable to that, I would be in favor of moving the trees.
Chair Eggline, I like the idea of keeping the trees, but moving them to a different location as well. I think that would appease me to sway my vote.
Would somebody like to put it up for a motion?
I'll take a stab. I will move to approve a variance from section 11-24-4 to allow a deviation parking lot landscaping requirements for a property with a legal description of lots 2 and 3 of block 1 on COS number 31-00615 of Nob Hill subdivision, Steve Helena, Lewis and Clark County, Montana, with the condition that the 2 removed trees are placed on the subsequent lot where it makes sense.
Second.
Just a minute here. Chair Eggline,
Aye.
Vice Chair Tholt,
Aye.
Commissioner Shertliff,
Aye.
Mr. Newhouse,
Aye.
Mr. Top,
Aye.
motion passes.
Thank you, Chair and board members. That is all the variances I have for you this evening.
Thank you, Kyle. Right. April, is there any old or new business?
So we have amended the agenda, so now there is no longer the old and new business. Because typically we do not have that for this board especially. So now would be general public comment.
Okay. Any general comment? None. I'm seeing none from here. Anything online?
Is there any general public comment from online? Please raise your hand. There are no hands raised.
Then, what is the date of our next board meeting?
So the next scheduled meeting is December 5th. We should have 2 items. If we have the tabled item back. If not, we have 1 item.
Okay, is anybody planning on being absent December 5th that you know of right now? Not planning an absence, just if you know of one. Different.
Yes. Will anyone be unavailable on the 5th? We'll say that.
Right. Would somebody like to make an emotion for adjournment then?
Madam Chair, I move to adjourn.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I see none. We're adjourned.